Hello, and welcome to Reading with Drew. We are reading Perloo the Bold by AVI. Oh. And currently we are on chapter 22. Oh, Lucabara. Yes. Oh, you have to read the books now. Do it. You have to read it. Read the book. Okay, here we go. Enough playing around. Okay, Lucabara, chapter 22. Here we go. Oh, Perloo, Lucabara cried in vexation. Why must you be so foolish? Okay, sorry. She took 2 hops in the direction of the cave, only to stop, realizing there was nothing she could do to help him now. In haste, she hopped off until she knew she was safe. Then she paused and looked down the mountain. Where should she go? If she returned home and was caught by Berwig and Cineas, she had little doubt as to her fate. She could flee into exile to some other part of the mountain, perhaps to another mountain entirely. There were other Montmer tribes. No doubt she could find some kind of life for herself. Or perhaps she should stay and work secretly to lead a rebellion. But what about the war with the Felbarts? She felt she owed it to the tribe to try and stop it. In the end, it might be the best way, the only way, to help Perloo. Then she asked herself, did she really want to help Perloo? All she had done so far was out of loyalty to Jolaine, not Perloo. Indeed, when Jolaine had first told her about Perloo, Lucabara had been disappointed. What had Jolaine called him? Perloo the Unwilling. Lucabara looked up and about. It was a little past sunup. The sun was low to the east. The great blizzard had ended the previous night. Before her, in profound stillness, breathless, seamless mounds of powdered snow lay the land. Above, the sky was a brilliant, cloudless blue. Every tree, every pine needle was coated with ice as delicate as a porcupine quill. Though the air was crystal clear, she could almost taste it. It made her want to fly away. She did the next best thing, knees flexed, leaning slightly forward, ears back, stubbly arms tucked in. She sped down the mountain like an avalanche, allowing her whole body to feel the thrill of plunging speeds that made her spirits soar. Was there anything better than skiing? Nope. Then she made herself move slowly, skiing along looping patterns. The steady rhythmic swaying of her body, the graceful flow and sweep of movement, the spray of powder in her face, soothed her troubled spirits, while the whispering slide of her feet sounded a steady hiss that was like a song in her ears. How she loved the speed, the sensation of being in complete control. It was as if she were racing along the very edge of life. Then, as she swept out from behind a ridge, the full range of mountains opened up before her in one vast, horizon-filling panorama. Quickly, Lucabara shifted her feet so that their sides bit deep into the snow. It brought her to a quick, snow-spraying stop. The view before Lucabara, snow-crowned majestic peak after snow-crowned majestic peak, randomly necklaced with jagged black outcroppings against intense blue skies, seemed to go on forever. Moved by the great beauty, she stretched out her short arms as if to hug all of the mountains. Oh, she cried, this is my world and I love it. With her cry came renewed strength. She felt full of hope. Yes, she felt she must assist her Montmer tribe. And Perloo? He was not very bold, powerful, or even romantic. Not her notion of a grandeur. On the other paw, she had to acknowledge he did keep his promise, was smart and loyal, decent too, nice and kind. Most of all, he didn't pretend to be anything more than what he was. How like him not to escape? Lucabara forced herself to admit there was a kind of bravery in that. Yes, Perloo was what he was. No more, but no less either. Was not that kind of leadership the Montmers needed? Could that have been what Jolaine saw in Perloo? Montmer, whose, because of his knowledge and modesty, would expand their freedoms. Just to say, it made her realize that, of course it was. Suddenly, Lucabara saw that the best way to help the Monomers was to make sure Perloo stayed alive, so he could become Grantor. Jolene was the past, Perloo was the future. Resolute, Lucabara began to ski hard down the mountain. By middle sunglow, she began to recognize the familiar landmarks of Monomer territory. Once she came upon wolf tracks. Twice she saw mountain goats, but nervous only about warrior patrols, she skied slowly. Her watchfulness was rewarded. From a distance, she spied a squad of warriors skiing in line. A military patrol! Moving quickly, she skied into a clump of pine trees and hid herself while observing what they did. The squad, 6 in number, was dressed in full military armor and were armed with pikes. She saw them approach a burrow mound and knock upon its top entrance. When the door opened, she watched as they pushed down and disappeared below. Apprehensive, Lucabara waited. The patrol soon returned to the surface. With them were 2 struggling Monomers, arms bound behind their backs, who were being led away as prisoners. Behind them, at the burrow entrance, 2 anguished Monomers looked on. As soon as the patrol was out of sight, Lucabara skied to the burrow. The 2 Monomers were still there, weeping. "What's happened?" Lucabara called. "It's Sineus's patrols. They've taken 2 from the burrow." "But why?" "The same as elsewhere," one of the Monomers wept. "They objected to Berwick." "And Sineus," added the other. "What will they do with them?" Lucabara called. "Don't you know? They've turned the Central Tribe burrow into a huge prison." "Oh," cried the second, "the day Jolene died was a doleful day for all of us." Counseling one another, the 2 hopped down into their burrow, slammed the door behind them. Lucabara, angry and upset, skied away. Shh! The situation had become much more worse than she would ever thought possible in such a short time. She had to find a hiding place quickly, somewhere to plan a rebellion. Her own home, the Central Tribe burrow, was impossible. She would have to go to friends, but who among them could she trust, or, for that matter, put into jeopardy with her presence? She thought of any number, but settled on one Rimbury, a young female Monomer with whom she had enjoyed skiing with. Lucabara was certain she could trust her, and Rimbury lived near Tupthang Hollow. Tupthang Hollow, not far from where she was. Keeping a careful watch, making certain of escape routes, should she run into a patrol, Lucabara made her way. Twice she found evidence that patrols had passed recently, the trails of 6 skiers moving in close formation. She pushed on. Tupthang Hollow was nestled in a small valley surrounded by rocky fields. With the rocks buried deep in the snow, access was easy. Lucabara took the time to make sure no one was watching her. Only then did she approach and pound on the door. It was not long before she heard the sound of someone hopping up the tunnel. The peephole opened. Quickly, she set herself close against the door, so only the tips of her ears could be seen. "Share your name," came a request from within. "I'm looking for Rimbury," Lucabara said, avoiding using her own name. The door dropped open. Rimbury herself popped out. "Lucabara!" she cried with a mix of alarm and delight. "Where have you been?" Rimbury was a strong, young, muscular Monomer with a famously flashing smile and long hair tuft dyed green, the kind that passed for fashion among young female Monomers. She had a way of setting her ears at a particular rakish angle that had always appealed to Lucabara as wonderfully bold. Not waiting for an invitation, Lucabara hopped into the burrow entryway. Rimbury pushed the door up behind her. "By Magua, Lucabara," Rimbury said, "do you know Berwick and his warriors have been looking for you, and that Perloo everywhere? They've accused you of murdering Jolene." "Would you rather I not stop?" Lucabara asked. "No, of course not. You murdered Jolene? Impossible. And I know all about Berwick and Cineas. What about your burrow mates? Lucabara asked. You don't have to worry, Rimbury assured her. We've got 16 here, and most of us have the good sense to know what's going on. But I should warn you, warrior patrols have been making sudden search and grabs. I saw it happen. Rimbury shook her head. They're picking up anyone who opposes Berwick's rule. But they've not come here, not yet anyway. You can hide in my burrow room. Leading the way, Rimbury hopped down the tunnel. Before coming to the main hall, she turned into a small side tunnel, then another before entering her burrow room. It was small, snug, and very neat, with a glowing fire. Once there, she shut the door and urged Lucabara to rest. As Rimbury scurried about getting some food, Lucabara told the story of Jolene, Berwick, and Perloo. When she was done, Rimbury could only murmur, awful, just awful. As Lucabara ate and drank some tea, Rimbury, having good Montmer manners, remained silent. But once she had her fill, Lucabara said, as far as I know, Perloo is still up there with the Felbarts, Rimbury. I'm just hoping he gets out alive. Rimbury's eyes twinkling considered Lucabara with interest. You care for him a lot, don't you? Lucabara, her nose turning a deep purple, smiled shyly. Don't worry, Rimbury said. It sounds like he knows what he's doing. Tell me again what happened to your part of Jolene's proclamation. Lucabara reached into her smock and drew it out. Rimbury examined it only to shake her head. Doesn't make any sense, she said. I helped Jolene write it, so I can tell you what the other half said. I'm listening. Lucabara recited it for her. When Lucabara had done, Rimbury said, you do know, don't you, that Berwick and Cineas have another version of Jolene's proclamation? It condemns Perloo. Rimbury, believe me, it must be a forgery. I'm only telling you what I saw. But I need to know, Lucabara said, if you heard anything about a war. Rimbury looked grim. The rumor is the Felbarts are going to attack. Another lie, Lucabara informed her friend, and told Rimbury about the letter Berwick sent to the Felbarts. She also recounted the story of Granter Wentlow. Rimbury snorted. I never thought you were a student of history. Lucabara's nose turned purple again. I'm not. Perloo told me about him. Rimbury, she asked. Can I meet with some of your friends? Would they be willing to listen to me talk with me? We need to organize fast. I'll see who I can round up. Lucabara, remaining alone, squatted up down before the fire, sipped some tea, and thought about what Rimbury had told her. At least there was some resistance to Berwick. If only she could help to shape it, to direct it. Lucabara folded the proclamation and returned it to her smock. Rimbury soon returned, bringing 5 of her burrow mates with her. Lucabara here has something to tell us, Rimbury said, introducing her mates to Lucabara. Listen to her, then feel free to ask questions. The 5 Montmers squatted down, staring with Jolene's rejection of Berwick as new granter. Lucabara began to tell the entire story. She had barely told half the tale when there was a sudden pounding on Rimbury's door. Open up, barked a voice. Warrior Patrol! Ooh, busted! I like how each chapter ends in some kind of like climax and suspense. I love that. That's good story writing. And that's what they do in like TV shows and stuff too. At the end of the episode, there's some sort of like not the main climax, but something to grab you and make you want to watch the next episode or read the next chapter. So that was a good chapter. Really insightful to what Lucabara's thinking at the moment, because I think that was the first chapter where it was just kind of her, you know. I mean, in the beginning, it was her with Perloo. So to like get insight on how she feels and what she's thinking about it, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do next? What do I do? And then to find out that Berwick is basically being a tyrant leader to the tribe for anyone who opposes them. So, ooh, it's getting exciting, y'all. We're almost down to the end. Quite a few more chapters, I would say. What did I say? 36 chapters? So, yeah, I love reading books. We've been doing Arnold Schwarzenegger voices at work, so I just had to do a little bit today. You have to do it like a good neighbor. So, but yeah, it was a good chapter. We got another new character, one of Lucabara's friends. Was it Rambury? So yeah, I didn't really know what to do voice for that, but it seems like she's fashionable and younger, so a little more edgy to her voice. I don't know. Anyways, hope you're enjoying it. I am. I think this story is great. It just shows how Perloo's just awesome. He's an awesome rabbit. He's got good morals. He's maybe kind of a little wimpy, but he's brave when it matters in certain aspects. You know what I mean? Even when he thought he was going to be in a fight, he was like ready to throw down. You know what I mean? So I would say he is pretty bold, because that's what we're reading. Perloo the Bold by AVI or Avi. I don't know how you pronounce it, but anyways, I hope that you have an excellent day and that you're doing great in life. So enjoy it. Goodbye, everybody. And see you on the next one. Yeah. Yeah. Stop.